this is Ben. And we are focused on all about mobile data collection is what we're going to talk about today. And the reason for that is because all of your projects, and let me know if I'm wrong with this, but all of your projects start with mobile data collection. You can't do the reports, the dashboard, or anything else until you've collected the data. So the next piece here is the introduction. But I also want to give a shout out to Joe, who's sitting over there. He's not presenting with us today, but he helped us with this presentation and helped us do some brainstorming. So maybe give him a quick round of applause. Joe, if you haven't talked to him in person, you may have talked to him on the chat. So he is focused all on the Xeron Customer Success Center, and he manages that, and he does a really good job. So his 97%, or not just his, but his team are the ones who gave that 97% for the support, which is really good. And the next piece here, I'm going to keep this kind of short and sweet, but I want us to focus on the mobile data collection side of things. And I want to make sure everyone here knows that Xeron is still really focused in the mobile data collection. Throughout today and throughout our webinars and throughout everything you see with Xeron, you may see that we talk through the reports, the dashboards, and the data flow. But our investment started with mobile data collection. It actually started 18 years ago for Z. And the focus was to make sure that not only were we able to replace paper, but we were able to get better data. And that is still our goal here. That hasn't been lost. We want to keep improving it, keep improving the end user's experience with the mobile data collection, and keep becoming better and stronger and making the best use of our software for you guys, and keep learning from you guys what you need and what you want to make it the best. This next slide, have you guys seen this before? This should be a brand new slide, right? So as we talked throughout today, SAMR has been huge. Even Al has brought it into Gate Group. But right now, and today's focus that Ben and I are going through is just on the S and the A, the mobile data collection. So the substitution and the augmentation. We want to make sure that with the mobile data collection, you're able to hold people accountable, that you're able to collect data efficiently, that you have good data, and that you build forms that support not only the end users, but also support that end goal of maybe reports and dashboards. And during today's session, Ben's going to go through some of the things we've added this upcoming year to make that a better experience, but also go through some things that might be coming up in the near future.
Thanks, Barrett. So continuing on, with the SAMR mindset here, as you see, it's data collection is very much S&A, and we want to be the very best in the S&A department here. So kind of as we look through this, we start asking ourselves questions kind of like, what if we could do this, or what if we could do that? And one of the main things we looked at here this year was we were asking ourselves, like, what if we could populate forms automatically with like a click of a button? Now everyone knows we've had this smart table search or these lookup tables for some time. And one thing we do as a big investment in our customers is we do a feature frenzy every year. So with that feature frenzy, we actually put out a couple ideas, people start voting on those, and from there, we're able to see what people want. So this latest feature was pretty powerful because it lets people enhance their lookup table functionality. So before you had to go and like type in your data and it might look up incorrectly. So I did want to show a demo of that latest feature frenzy that came out here. So let's plug this in. We're not prepared enough here for this.
Well, Ben's getting that set up. If you guys know me pretty well, I love corny jokes, and I can only remember one at a time. So I heard this one recently when I was in Liverpool. So my question for you is, why do boats in Norway have barcodes on them? Any guesses? Because they're Scandinavian. Thank you. That's the one joke I can remember. Thanks, Connor. Are we good, Ben?
Yeah, no, I think we're good to go. So this is just an example of a lookup form that we have here, and as we fill it out, we have an inspection location field. And in the past with lookup tables, these would just be like text fields. So when you type this in, you have to type it in exactly, even uppercase or lowercase. If you get that wrong, it may not work. So if we type in like, let's say location, and I hit done, well, it didn't look up my address, city, state. So it didn't work there, right? And you type it in again, and you type in location 2, and then maybe it works, right? Now the challenge is, I mean, this is all based on what you know as a user, if this is exactly in the table. So what we've allowed to do in our new version of the lookup tables is be able to actually show a drop-down list of every single record that you have in that lookup table. And this is all that search key. So here's all of your let's say, locations, for example, in this one. So as you select a specific location, let's do like Grand Canyon, it's going to automatically look that up. Now the beauty of this is you don't have to really manage it from an end user side. As you add new records to this lookup table, they're just automatically added to this list. So I mean, I really want to thank the community for asking about this feature and voting on it. And we do want to continue doing more of these throughout the years to get folks.
And how many of you have actually implemented projects with the latest version of the Smart Table Search? So probably everyone. Does anyone use the old version with using that disable list type of reference ID now, or is it all using the long list that you just showed? Anyway. No one's using the old? Give yourself a pat on the back. That's great.
The beauty of it too is that it's just applied. So anyone who is using the old way, it'll just be applied to the new way is just applied automatically, which is pretty nice. So we do ask ourselves some other questions too on this. I mean, we start looking into what our customers want, and one of those actually comes up in terms of like location and accountability, right? So we kind of ask ourselves, what if we could see where you're collecting data at, like when you're actually collecting it. Right now you see a location widget, it shows your latitude and longitude, but you don't really know if that's the right latitude and longitude, if you're in this parking spot accuracy. Something that we recently just did, we can go back to that, was adding the ability to see your map or your location on a map there. So how this starts, and we're doing some more R&D in the mapping realm as well, so I did want to show this from end to end as well. So this is actually Esri and ArcGIS. This is actually their application, ArcGIS Collector, and you can see that there's a bunch of like farm field plots in here, right? So imagine if you can see all of your different plots right here, and you're able to use those instead of just writing in that this is like an orange field or something. So you choose on the plot, you tap on your field here, and this is the similar hotlink functionality that Al was showing earlier. It allows these other applications to talk to each other. So we pass that data across there, and now we're able to continue filling out the form. Now what I wanted to show here is our location widget. And you're going to see here that now it actually does show a map beneath it, and we can see that we're pretty accurate here right where we're at. This is zoomed in, showing the satellite. We did that on purpose, so we're able to see that you are within a parking spot accuracy. These devices are only so accurate themselves, so we want to make that known here.
Off of that, one of the groups that we work with, they were so excited about this because they kept running into issues where the user was out on a boat and they were capturing their location data, but they needed to see where they were on that river bend. And so now they're able to see that in real time and be able to judge what direction they actually need to go at that point too.
And I mean, with this is also accountability. I mean, if you didn't know already, we have like created and modified locations with every single one of our records that are captured. I just heard talking with one of the folks here with KFC that they actually caught some users who were filling out records, from their house, not actually at the store. So, that's something that you can now identify with this as well, and just really enforce some better accountability there too.
I think the end users too, if they try to collect that data when they're at home and they now go to the location and see that it's showing them at their house, well, they're probably going to get up and go to where they have to go at that point.
So on the last piece I wanted to actually discuss here a little bit is always from the start we've always want to make sure that everything we do is always assuming offline, right? We take it for advantage here in the States, or we have connection pretty much everywhere, but there's even a lot of places that don't currently. So one of those challenges comes with that is syncing records. That's downloading records or syncing them up to the cloud. I'm sure everyone's experienced that one time or another. So we kind of asked ourselves, what if we could verify, like every time you do a sync, it is 100% accurate? So that is something that we did do this year as well in the form validation. So I'm going to show what that looks like as well. And see, this is mainly able to be used when you are building forms, or maybe in like a low connectivity environment to be able to see those things. But in the settings menu, you're going to see a new option for validate form structures right down here at the bottom. So when you turn that on, we're going to go back to our form here, and it's automatically going to validate that structure here. So I just tapped it, and we see that one of our forms is bad already. So we know that we did something wrong to mess up this form from a form builder side, or we didn't sync it. I don't have the best connection here, so I'm not going to sync, but when I do sync, it would actually resolve that error and then show that the form is downloaded fully. Something we want to continue to enforce as we go, better accountability, make sure that you're filling out forms that are actually fully downloaded too.
And I do want to just reiterate that the purpose of it is it's twofold. One is for the low connection areas to make sure that whole form structure was downloaded, and the other is when you're building the form, make sure you've given all the assignments like subform assignments and option list assignments. So it works in both environments really well.
But again, there's a number of other things we've done. Some of these come from customer feature requests or just things that we're pushing forward as a product. And we want to keep kind of pushing that envelope there. So it's really important that we get feedback from everyone here on if there's something we're missing. That's kind of what we should start developing here too. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit and look at some things in the future that we're looking forward to do. I know we haven't shared a lot of what our future is with mobile data collection side of things. We've talked a lot about data flow and reports and things like that. So there's a couple core components that we're very much looking at here. So the first one I want to discuss is first one I want to really look at is we see that there's folks that are out in the field, and in order to support this whole field service vision, it's not just field service folks, right? There's folks that are in the office, there's folks that are at the C level who need to be involved in some of these things. And we realize that just your iOS and your Android devices is not enough at this point, right? So we are doing some heavy R&D in terms of looking at different web forms. So these forms will render on your phone, as well as on your desktop, that'd be a Mac or a PC as well, so you're able to capture that and use that on or offline. So again, that's something that we are definitely looking forward to, and I know a lot of people have asked for that type of thing too. So I want to get some feedback on there and see if that's really what everyone's looking for. There's a couple other components too, and we've seen just looking at existing customers and as well as customers who are looking to use us. Data collection is not just all, let's fill out a form and then let's submit that data. There's a lot of folks who really want to see maybe what it looks like, visualize that on a map a little more. Use some of these mapping components that you can see. If I'm inspecting like manholes, I want to see all the streams that are running into this or all the different pipes that are connecting it. So that's something we actually could not see before, and we're putting a lot of effort into some R&D in there. If you follow our YouTube channel, you might see some videos that I've done on things like that. But basically, that would allow folks to put different layers on a map inside of your application. That's something that you've been able to do in ArcGIS Collector and things like that, but we want to bring that to our something. You also want to look at exporting GIS formats. I mean, there's a lot of GIS formats that you have, like these KMLs imported into Google Earth. There's many GIS systems out there that we use that may not be just ArcGIS Online or anything, so we want to make sure we can appeal to everyone who has GIS need in some sense. And then also with that is working offline, right? I mean, our map right now only works in an online environment. So that works well, but then when you're offline, I mean, you don't see anything. So you really want to be able to see that. So we'd allow you maybe to pick a location and say, let's download it at this extent, and then we're able to start using that. And then one of the other components we're looking at here is, you've seen our iForm Builder product and some of the Xerion products here, and the data collector part works pretty closely with data flow and the reports as well. We want to make that easier. We've heard feedback from folks who have been using our data flow automation, and some things are tough to use. It is more of a developer-based tool set, so we want to simplify that a bit so folks are able to click a button and maybe all your data shows up in reports. So click a button and your data is in your SQL Server. Make it a little more simpler than it is today. So that's really where we're going in terms of the data collector side, and we want to continue to make a huge investment on
What about web forms? Web forms? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, no, definitely. We talked about in the beginning.
A little bit more?
Yeah, a little more. Well, we have done a little more R&D on that. I mean, in terms of figuring out, try to build some sample ones, right? I've built a couple videos of just let's build a standard web form there, but we want to be able to basically click on your form, and then it's going to load that whole form for you, similar to the interface you see on your device today. So
So part of the struggle was that we talked through yesterday was the fact that web forms, all those smart controls that you put in your mobile device or for iForms, it's really hard to put it on the mobile side. So that's one thing that we're going to look at and try to figure out how do we make it so that they're compatible. That's partly why I wanted us to go through a little bit. So those are 3 things that you just talked about: the web form, the mapping, and deeper integrations. Can we kind of see a little vote here and interaction to see what ones really interest you guys? If they all interest you, then put your hand up for all 3. But firstly, with the mapping, is that something that you guys are interested in seeing more about in the future? All right, couple. What about the web forms? Ooh, a couple more. What about deeper integrations? All right, good. What about everything? Is there anything that we're missing that you think would be helpful? If there is, hold on to that for later on this afternoon when we have a nice discussion in forum. The last thing that we have here is push us to do more. So we're only as good as our customers. We only know what you guys need and want when you tell us. If you don't tell us, then that makes our job even more difficult, because that means we're going to be sitting here trying to read your mind, trying to figure out exactly what your needs are. So push us, push the boundaries. You know, if you want an interaction with drones, let us know. We can try to figure out how to make that work. If you want a robot, I don't know, maybe we can do that. Maybe we can hire Z's kid to help build one of those. So there's a lot of options, but we're only as good as you guys. So please make sure that you tell us what you need and help us become better. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think just mirroring that same type of thing. I mean, we want to continue getting feedback from you. If there are stuff we're missing or we're totally missing the mark on, I mean, tell us we're crazy. We want to sit down and talk with you. And that's really why me personally, like working on the product management side of things, really want to sit down with everyone and try to learn more about what your needs are and how we can do that. So thank you.